First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, basically, I have a couple of articles here that are dealing with more news on the economy. All right, but as I go through them, I'm not gonna read through every single one. All right, just want to hit the headlines to give you a sense of, the weather, uh, so to speak, right? So as you can see, you have the first one here. It says Bed, Bath, and Beyond to file for bankruptcy within weeks. Okay, and just a little bit of what it has here. It says Bed Bath and Beyond just uh, shareholders day just went from worst to worster. It says after the stock closed down 30% today, following the company saying it was running low on funds and considering several options. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that, according to people familiar with the matter, BBBY is preparing to file for bankruptcy within weeks. And after the home goods retailer said that sales of its third quarter, which ended in November, are expected to fall by nearly a third, and that losses are expected to widen nearly 40% to 385.8 million, BBBY shares are trading at their lowest level in 30 years. So it's not looking too good um, for this company. But the thing about these kinds of situations is they're often not just one-off cases, and instead they are a trend. Okay, in which you see it happen with one company, and then it's just a matter of time before it happens with another. Because you need to ask yourself, when a company is in danger of filing for bankruptcy, and you are another company, whether within the same type of business or not, if you are another company or another producer, you have to look at, okay, what kind of company is this? Bed Bath and Beyond. Is this just some regular mediocre company? Is this a well-known company? But why would they be in danger of filing for bankruptcy? What is the cause? And in a situation like what we see now, we realize that this is not a company specific cause. This is a global cause, right? That you can say. You could say that, hey, the same thing that's causing Bed Bath and Beyond to suffer and be in jeopardy of filing for bankruptcy as they are preparing to, according to these sources here. What makes any other company any different? Companies that are within the same level as BBBY or less, right? What's making them any different? Um, who's to say that they won't have to file for bankruptcy once Bath and Beyond does? So that's why it's usually not just a one-off thing, and it could really turn into a trend because everybody's being affected. Okay, so it's just a matter of time. All it is everybody's put in a chokehold right now, and it's just a matter of who hits their threshold first, and they pass out. Then the next one passes out, but eventually they're all gonna hit their thresholds. Until that chokehold is loosened, is let off, they're all gonna pass out at some point. Some sooner than others. But here we have another one. All right, same website, zerohedge.com. And as you can see, it says, well, speaking of which, I just had this is a Twitter notification, right? It says IMF, International Monetary Fund, warns inflation in the U.S. remains sticky in the labor market and has not turned the corner yet. Okay, yeah, I think they said it climbed up a little bit in December. So the Fed has already raised interest rates pretty high, and in the hopes of lowering this inflation, and yet here we still are. And what does that mean? Well, according to, if they followed the plan that they said, then they're gonna need to raise some more. And then in the meanwhile, the consumers are paying for it. So as you can see, it says 2023 spells big trouble for U.S. economy. Majority of large banks warn. The vast majority of economists at 23 large financial institutions, 23, interesting, surveyed by the Wall Street Journal predict that the United States will fall into the grips of a recession in 2023 and that millions of Americans will lose their jobs, which it's already started and we will address that soon, right? And that's look, high inflation with people out of jobs, it's not a good combination for the consumers. What it does do, however, is it does open the door for these those behind the scenes pulling the strings to come and say, hey, we actually have, and I believe Elon Musk actually spoke about it as well, right? Hey, we actually have this system that we can implement. It's called the Universal Basic Income, the UBI. See, a lot of people are losing their jobs. We're going from having the middle class to just the rich and the poor. People need a way to support themselves. It'll be similar to how we had the stimulus checks, but this will be a more, uh, set up structure. You just have to sign here and do this and do that. Okay. So let's see, because we know it's in their plans. And in order for people to be willing to accept that, people need to be put in a desperate state. So you have a bad economy, you're in a recession, you lost your job, you don't have anything in your savings, prices are super high. It's only a matter of time before you get evicted. People are going to be in a very desperate state. And when you're in a desperate state, things that you might easily turn down don't become as easy to turn down anymore. All right. It says here more than 2/3 of the nearly 2 dozen institutions, which include trading firms and investment banks that do business directly with the Federal Reserve, expect the U.S. economy to contract in 2023, which we are in, according to the report. Two of the 23 firms expect the recession to come later in 2024, while, second, all right, it says later in 2024, while five believe that the United States will manage to avoid a downturn altogether. Okay, so it says the institutions that predict a coming recession expect consumer spending to weaken as Americans deplete their savings and an aggressive Fed drives up borrowing costs and as banks' lending standards get tighter. That's not going to be a good combination. We keep saying it. All right, it says here soaring U.S. inflation, which in June 2022 hit a peak of 9% in annual terms, as measured by the Consumer Price Index or the CPI, has forced the Fed to raise rates at its fastest pace since the 1980s in a desperate bid to relieve price pressures. And then it goes on, so on and so forth. But we read up above, it mentioned millions of Americans losing their jobs. Okay, now this is an article that I believe also came out today. Yeah, Thursday, January 5th. And as you can see here, it says the Twitter purge continues. Musk lays off about 40 data scientists and engineers working on ad team, which it may not sound like much, but trust and believe that 40 engineers is a lot, okay? And data scientists, that's a lot, okay? That's a lot. So it says here and this is in addition to, other. This comes after. I'm sure if I'm not mistaken, I believe they already had a round of people getting laid off from here. But you also had Meta, Amazon, and a few others. And think about it, man. If people typically you would think, look, man, if I got a job at Google or if I got a job at Amazon or Twitter, or these top FANG companies, you think, man, I'm good. My job is secure, or whatever the case is. But you gotta think if people here are losing their jobs, how much more for people elsewhere in different kinds of jobs? And the reason is when companies like Google and Amazon and this, they're supposed to be, these big, large industry standard companies that have enough revenue and whatnot, and they're in a good standing to weather these kinds of storms. That's typically what people think. But you also, I mean, have to keep in mind that if these companies like this are already laying people off, what about others? So it goes on to read, the massive cost and fat cutting at Twitter under micromanaging new CEO Elon Musk continues. For years, Twitter had operated less like a company and more like a cult compound for leftist ideologues, with free lunches, yoga rooms, smoothie, wine, and espresso bars, and minimal work buffered by pointless meetings and near zero productivity. Those days appear to be over. The latest proof: Twitter laid off about 40 data scientists and engineers working on the advertising team on Wednesday night of this week, according to the information. So nobody's safe. Okay. But then there's more. All right. You also have here Amazon. Now, this is on Reuters. You have 3 minute read. Amazon to cut 18,000 jobs as layoffs expand in tech sector. Let's see. It says here January 5th, Amazon layoffs will include more than 18,000 roles as part of a workforce reduction it previously disclosed. Chief Executive Andy Jassy or JC said in a public staff note on Wednesday. The layoff decisions, which Amazon will communicate, yeah, all right, will communicate starting January 18th, will largely impact the company's e-commerce and human resources organizations, he said. The cuts amount to 6% of Amazon's roughly 300,000 person corporate workforce and represent a swift turn for a retailer that recently doubled its base pay ceiling to compete more aggressively for talent. All right. So these are all indicators letting you know basically what time you're in. What are the signs of the times? And these are not good. These are not telling you things are going to be fine. Things are going to be okay. All right. So it looks like it's going to be a trend, and it's just a matter of time. And typically that's how it starts. If you picture like an avalanche, coming down, it may start off slow and small, but eventually it picks up steam or ice. It gets bigger and it moves faster and more dangerous. At least I'm talking about the cartoon avalanche. That's just a ball. The real avalanches don't really look like that. They actually, you know, look more like snowstorms or something like that coming down a mountain. But the ball that rolls and it gets bigger and it's faster and it just crushes things. Yeah, that one. But right, let's get this real quick. So this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 16, verse 74. Because with all this going on, yeah, we all have jobs. We all, everybody has to do what they got to do, And although these things are happening, we still live in this world, right? So we also are liable to be affected. But one thing we have that the world doesn't is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. We have the hope. Okay, we have the faith and the hope. And so it's always important to keep that in mind that things may, happen in your regular life, but we're not here to be a part of this world. Now it doesn't mean that things won't happen and you won't have to go through them, but just remember that we have an alternative. All right, we have somewhere to go. We have a safe haven. We have the name of the Lord and the ability to pray. So no matter what happens, I mean that's our superpower. We can always go there, go to the Lord and pray to the Lord and actually have things happen in our lives. All right, so never neglect or underestimate the power of prayer. So this is Second Ezra 16 and 74. It says, "Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same." Okay, and the Lord said that, right? The days of trouble are at hand. We're seeing it, but we don't need to worry because the Lord said he will deliver us from those same days of trouble. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt. All right. For God is your guide. So the Most High is our guide. So we don't need to worry. We're not going to get lost. We're not going to get hurt because the Lord said He got our back. Verse 76, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord power. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So that's why it's also important to continue to do what the Lord has commanded us to do and remain positive in the things that please the Lord. Okay, because in that way, if you are of the elect, He will be a guide unto you. And what does that mean? This is finish it up here with Ecclesiastes 27, 2:7. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for His mercy, and go not aside lest ye fall. And there comes patience. You fear the Lord, you believe, you trust in the Lord, but you have to have patience. Okay, you have to have patience. It's just as important. Yeah, when you're going through something that's not pleasant, it's very difficult to have patience. In fact, that's probably the last thing you want to hear because you want that thing to be over so quickly. Okay, but you gotta have patience and you gotta trust in the Lord and wait for His mercy. Don't try to go about and take matters into your own hand because that's when you start to what? As it says, you fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe Him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good and for everlasting joy and mercy. So that's the mindset, the attitude to have in these evil days. All right, as calamities come upon the world and the inhabitants of it, we have to hope for good. We have to believe in the Lord and we have to wait for His mercy. Right? Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in His fear and was forsaken? Or whom did He ever despise that called upon Him? Yeah. See, so we got to keep that in mind always as we see the times that we are very quickly heading into. Always remember that no matter how bad it gets, we always have the Lord. All right, we have a way out. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.